here I am at the Lenin statue in Fremont. It's really cool. It's a really cool statue just in general. And like the history behind it is really fascinating. As a creative and young Seattle neighborhood, Fremont has a reputation of unusual statues and structures. It is home to Waiting for the Interurban, the Fremont Rocket, and the Fremont Troll under the bridge. But perhaps the most controversial statue in Fremont is the statue of Russian communist and revolutionist Vladimir Lenin. Standing at a staggering 16 feet tall and weighing 7 tons of bronze, the statue is perched on the corner of 36th Street, Fremont Place, and Evanston Avenue. The magnitude of the statue makes it hard to miss and stands in stark contrast from the small local businesses and cheerful atmosphere of the corner. Though the prominent figure of communist Russia sitting on a corner in Seattle is interesting, the history of how the statue made its way there is what makes the artwork so intriguing. Emil Venkov created the statue in 1988 and mounted it in Poprad, Slovakia. Shortly after its debut, the sculpture was toppled in the 1989 revolution. It wasn't until 1993 when a man from Issaquah, Washington, named Louis Carpenter rediscovered the statue. Though covered in mud, Carpenter immediately recognized the beauty in the bronze and used the little savings he had to purchase the statue for $13,000 and paid another $27,000 to ship it back to Washington. He planned to prop Lenin in front of a Slovakian restaurant he wanted to open. Unfortunately, his plans for the restaurant never came to life before he died of a car accident in 1994 at only 45 years old. This left his family in the debt of a giant bronze Lenin statue. When they were unable to sell it, a local sculptor named Peter Bevis decided that the art piece needed to be featured somewhere in public. He contacted the Fremont Chamber in order to display the art piece until a buyer was found. However, no one has bought it yet, and it is still for sale today. So if you want a giant 16-foot bronze statue of Vladimir Ilyich Lenin, you can still buy it. Wow, all this effort to have a statue of a prominent figure of the Soviet Union dropped in the middle of a weird neighborhood in Seattle. So what makes this statue so special? To begin, it is a very unique depiction of Lenin. Many other statues of Lenin show him as very civil, as an academic and a philosopher. They illustrate him as both welcoming and kind. The statue illuminates the political leader in a harsher and perhaps more accurate light. The man did commit many atrocities and was not a peaceful radical theorist, but rather a revolutionary who took violent means to achieve his ideals. One can argue whether or not his actions were necessary, but it is important to acknowledge the violence he contributed to. The nature of the statue reflects that. The statue has sparked heated conversation since it was first placed in Fremont and continues to this day. Some disagree with the presence of such a controversial political figure in the public. They believe we should not honor someone with a history of mass murder. A few groups have made their disapproval known about the presence of this statue, comparing it to the statues of Confederate soldiers and generals in the southern United States. In 2017, Washington lawmakers proposed a bill to remove the statue, but it never made it past committee. On the other hand, many argue its importance as a conversation starter about that period of Russian history. Lenin brought forth the first socialist country and created a new way of thinking. As of the role of the statue of Lenin in Fremont, many argue that the statue has just become one of the interesting aspects of the groovy neighborhood, simply an odd landmark. Lenin does not maintain a pristine look, as the statue is often vandalized and covered in graffiti. Most notably, his hands are often covered with red paint, symbolizing the blood on his hands from the 50 to 200,000 who were executed in Crimea under his command. Within the past year, the statue has also had blue and yellow paint splatters surrounding it. This serves in solidarity with Ukraine, as Lenin was a prominent Russian figure. In more festive spirit, Fremont decorates the statue with the season, wrapping Lenin in Christmas lights every December. While the statue of Lenin doesn't exactly blend into urban Seattle, it is very Fremont, with its fascinating history and natural ability to stand out. I'm Charlotte, and I hope you enjoyed this video.